This is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Cardi B and Tasha K? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background in this case, then I'll offer my analysis. Cardi B was born in 1992 and lives in California. Her real name is Belcalis Almanzar. She is a musician, songwriter, and TV personality. Cardi B is incredibly successful. She has won dozens of awards, including a Grammy, 6 American Music Awards, and 8 Billboard Music Awards. She is no stranger to controversy, including run-ins with the law. Tasha K was born in 1982 and lives in Georgia. Her real name is Tasha K. She is a YouTube content creator who has about 1 million subscribers. Her channel is named Unwind with Tasha K, like a play on words. Instead of unwind with a D, it's unwine, like the alcoholic beverage. Over the last several years, she's averaged about 4 million views a month. Tasha K mostly makes videos about pop culture. The majority of her videos are about black entertainers. I normally read a few titles from a channel that I'm talking about, but many of her video titles make an assertion about another person, which may or may not be true. So I'm just going to leave that alone. Over the last several years, Tasha K has made dozens of videos about Cardi B. Some of those videos contain claims which were false. In March of 2019, Cardi B filed a lawsuit against Tasha K, claiming defamation, invasion of privacy, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Here's what Cardi B asserted in her lawsuit. So these are Cardi B's allegations against Tasha K. Tasha K started making degrading and harassing statements against Cardi B in 2018. In the 16 months preceding the filing of the lawsuit, Tasha K released at least 38 videos about Cardi B. Tasha K made several false claims about Cardi B in various videos. Tasha K said that as a result of Cardi B's behavior, Cardi B's then unborn child may have intellectual disabilities. Tasha K claimed that Cardi B was a sex worker, had herpes, and used cocaine. All these claims are false, and Tasha K knew they were false. In September of 2018, Cardi B's lawyers sent a cease and desist letter to Tasha K, demanding that the defamatory content be removed. Tasha K responded by uploading another video in which she falsely claimed that the statements she made were true. So she was sticking with her story. Tasha K continued to make the same false and defamatory statements after this. She suggested that Cardi B engaged in infidelity and offensive behavior involving beer bottles. In a video released in September of 2020, Tasha K admitted that she knew her stories about Cardi B were false, and she published them anyway. Tasha K responded to the lawsuit by filing a counterclaim, accusing Cardi B of sending people to harass her. The judge dismissed the counterclaim. The case went to trial in January of 2022. Essentially, Tasha K admitted on the stand that she knew the claims were false and made them anyway because she wanted to make money, which is highly consistent with what she said in some of her videos. Cardi B was handed a massive victory over Tasha K. The jury awarded her $1 million to cover her pain, suffering, and reputational damage, $1.5 million in punitive damages, $250,000 for medical expenses, although both parties agreed to reduce this to $25,000, and over $1.3 million to cover Cardi B's legal expenses. The total award was about $3.8 million. Tasha K intends to appeal. After her defeat, Tasha K uploaded a 12-minute video to her channel titled Exclusive: Tasha K's Official Statement on the Verdict. I will summarize it here. Much of this is paraphrased. Tasha K wouldn't change the last 4 years of fighting this conspiracy case, referring to the defamation case. The verdict was not surprising. Her lawyers were prepared for this loss. They will appeal this case all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary. Tasha K called a bluff from a machine trying to bully her. I'm not sure if Tasha K understands what the word bluff means. If anything, Cardi B called Tasha K's bluff. This machine promotes all kinds of behavior of which Tasha K does not approve, like drugs and promiscuity. It is promoting a modern-day genocide. Tasha K was unfairly portrayed as malicious. What she did wasn't defamation, rather she was fighting against this machine, which is trying to destroy society. The lawsuit was filed against her not to get her money, but to get her respect and to shut her down. This case did not drain Tasha K financially. She will continue to work to expose the conspiracy. She took her videos down out of respect for the court. Now moving to my analysis. First I will talk about defamation, then move to Tasha K's reaction to her defeat. Laws around defamation vary based on jurisdiction, but here is a general description. A defamatory statement is a false statement of fact that is negligently or intentionally communicated or published, and it causes damage to the subject of the statement. A defamatory statement that is written is referred to as libel, and one that is oral is referred to as slander. If a statement is true, it is never defamatory. The truth is a complete defense against a defamation claim. If someone states an opinion rather than claiming something as factual, it would usually not be considered defamatory. But if the opinion implies underlying statements which are not true, it may still be defamatory. Just because somebody makes a defamatory statement doesn't always mean that they can be found liable for defamation. So making the statement and being found liable in a court of law are two different things. A major factor in determining liability is the nature of the target of the defamation. If the target is a private person, the standard is much lower than if they are a public figure. For a private person, the standard is negligence. For a public figure, it's actual malice. For a person to be held liable for defamation against a private person, one of three criteria must be satisfied. They had to know the statement was false, they acted with a reckless disregard for the truth, or they acted negligently in failing to ascertain whether the statement was true or false before making it. Essentially, for a private person to win a defamation case, they have to prove that the defendant acted outside the scope of how a reasonable person would act under similar circumstances. If the target is a public figure, only the first two criteria apply. One of those two criteria must be satisfied. So there was knowledge of the statement's false nature or a reckless disregard for the truth. Negligence is not enough to cause liability if the target is a public figure. The whole idea behind the difference between a private person and a public figure is to protect free and open debate about public issues. Public figures, either voluntarily or involuntarily, acquired a duty or status in society which necessitates open debate and criticism. There are three kinds of public figures: a public official, an all-purpose public figure, and a limited-purpose public figure. A public official is a government employee who occupies a position that can harm society if they misbehave. An all-purpose public figure is someone who has attained a notable status, like a famous actor, musician, or athlete. Once the status is obtained, it remains as long as the original source of the fame is of continued interest to the public. A limited-purpose public figure is someone who is caught up in some type of controversy which has brought them into the public light, like someone who is suspected of committing a serious crime. The standard of actual malice applies to all three types of public figure, but with the limited-purpose public figure, the actual malice generally only extends to the controversy that made the person a public figure. So like with a all-purpose public figure, say an actor, anything about their life would be covered under actual malice. But if somebody is a criminal defendant, only statements related to their alleged crimes would be held to the high standard of actual malice. Now moving back to the case of Cardi B and Tasha K. It's reasonable to assume that Cardi B qualifies as an all-purpose public figure. Therefore, the standard of actual malice applies. Defamation cases are notoriously hard to prove, especially against a public figure. However, in this particular case, Tasha K made it easy for Cardi B. She testified that she knew the statements were false. In addition, one could argue that Tasha K demonstrated a reckless disregard for the truth. Tasha K only needed to meet one of those criteria to be liable for defamation. As far as winning an award in court, the plaintiff in a defamation case has to demonstrate that they were harmed. However, certain types of statements constitute defamation per se, meaning they are considered defamatory without a need to prove harm. So they're so bad, they're so egregious, that automatically harm is assumed. These vary based on jurisdiction, but two fairly common qualifying statements would be falsely stating that somebody has a contagious disorder and accusing them of infidelity. Tasha K falsely stated both of these about Cardi B. Now, just because somebody wins a defamation suit doesn't mean they will be awarded punitive damages. So that's just one type of damage that can be awarded. Punitive damages require an even higher standard in most jurisdictions, like being vindictive or mean-spirited. In this particular case, the jury may have believed this about Tasha K because they awarded Cardi B $1.5 million in punitive damages. Now moving to my opinion of Tasha K's official statement on the verdict. It appeared as though Tasha K was reading this statement in her video, like she kept looking down at what appeared to be a document. Therefore, it's logical to assume that she thought her words through before she said them, like someone wrote it for her or she wrote it, but either way, she approved of it. This is not indicative of good judgment. Tasha K's use of the word machine is interesting. In a way, it sounds like she's just trying to avoid speaking the name Cardi B, but the word machine may also represent a larger adversary, like Hollywood or popular culture. Instead of taking responsibility for the defamatory statements, Tasha K is trying to build her behavior into this larger narrative of fighting this machine. She is really a hero who is in a glorious battle against this massive conspiracy that will destroy the world. She even used the term conspiracy case in her video. Tasha K is making it seem as though her defense is not just about one person. It's about valued principles. The fate of the world is at stake. If Tasha K loses, it will be the apocalypse. In addition to framing herself as a hero, she's also framing herself as a victim. She was the target of this malicious campaign against her when she was simply trying to fight to save society. Tasha K's statement is confusing. It's not really clear what she's arguing for other than her status as a hero and a victim. It's almost like she's implying that it's okay to make false and demeaning statements about people if those people can be considered adversaries. Yet, all her noble motivations were conspicuously absent when she recorded videos suggesting that she knew her statements were false and she made them, essentially, to earn money. I think what happened in this case is that Tasha K simply believed that she was entitled to say whatever she wanted. She did not like Cardi B, and she felt comfortable just making up stuff about her to harm her. She may not have known initially that what she was doing could make her liable, like she may not have understood the law, but she certainly became aware of the law when she received the cease and desist letter. For whatever reason, Tasha K did not stop her behavior, and this led to a predictable outcome. Tasha K did just about everything wrong to make sure that she would lose. Instead of taking ownership, Tasha K has now twisted the narrative into some type of fight for decency. Another confusing element with the official statement is this. How does making defamatory statements stop this mysterious machine and prevent the apocalypse? Tasha K's defamation of Cardi B is only going to make her adversary wealthier. Is that the object? If people make their adversaries even richer, the enemies somehow become less effective at destroying the world? And what about after the apocalypse? Is defamation going to stop zombies? A zombie will be charging a survivor, but the survivor will not be worried because they just uploaded a video about how the zombie was unfaithful to his wife. Wouldn't that only make the zombie angrier? The only rationale I can think of with this defamation strategy in the apocalypse is based on the idea that zombies like brains. If the survivor used the defamation strategy, the zombie would realize that the survivor doesn't have a lot of brain material available, so he would move on to another target. Something else to consider, could the zombie sue the survivor? By definition, a dead person cannot be defamed, but zombies are undead. This is a gray area that has never been tested in court. Moving to my final thoughts. The irony of Tasha K's situation is that there are many legitimate criticisms of Cardi B available. Again, she has been involved in a number of controversies. Tasha K could have offered her opinion about Cardi B's shortcomings without resorting to defamatory statements. There was no need to say anything that was untrue. Due to the outcome of the lawsuit, Cardi B is now gaining sympathy, the exact opposite of what Tasha K was trying to accomplish. Those are my thoughts on the case of Cardi B and Tasha K. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis to be as intriguing as an anti-zombie defamation weapon. Thanks for watching.